How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Wolf, and it's League Starter time again. We are here today for my top 3 ranged League Starter builds for Metamorph League. There's supposedly a lot of bow changes going around, so I'm going to be incorporating some of that in today. Now, we're going to be doing the Trade League build first, and both of these builds have been, or 2 builds have been confirmed to be changed or updated. The one that I'm going to start off showing you, my Burning Arrow Ranger that clocks in at about, 4 to 5 million DPS, roughly, is slated to get some changes, but I will cover them all basically as we go. There's a new stacking dot multiplier thing for, like, Ignite for Burning Arrow. Considering we're not even really playing Ignite, it's not really that much of an issue, and the damage should still be more than fine. The only real change to Burning Arrow that is of note that I've seen recently is that it's becoming 100% converted itself, which is pretty huge, because the character that I have set up here is actually using a signal fire to get 50% fizz converted to fire. Now, whether or not the 30% of physical damage as extra fire is beatable by a standard quiver, I mean, I highly fucking doubt, but that means you don't necessarily need to use this. You can use pretty much anything you want. You could use a drill neck, you could use a corrupted quiver, you can do basically anything in that sort of regard. Now, of course, this is the Trade League character, so it is fully done up. The next 2 are going to be SSF friendly, as well as my coming League Starter. So let's dive into this fella, shall we? We have a Burning Arrow Deadeye. To start out, we pick up all of the bow damage. To start, grab the life here, come through Aspect of the Eagle, and get crit multi and deadly draw, while grabbing a life, some more crit damage there, and elemental damage right down there. We come down for Point Blank, which sadly, Point Blank is going to be getting nerfed down to 30%, but it is still going to be insanely effective. Combined with Chin Soul, which we will be using on this character, you're still going to get a ton of mileage. Then we're going to grab King of the Hill and pop up for the Jewel, Art of the Gladiator, and Fury Bolts, as well as the extra life over there. Come up to the top side of the tree to get Elemental Penetration and Damage, extra life, and then come up farther for Crit Chance, Frenzy Charge, life, Jewel, over here for damage and some crit multi, because we are going crit on this character, damage, a life, and more damage, as well as some more life at the top. The skill tree for most builds in Path of Exile is quite simple. It's normally just damage, life, repeat, and that's pretty much all she wrote. Into the Ascendancy, we're going with Powerful, Precision, Fast and Deadly, Gathering Winds, and Rupture. Now, we're not taking Far Shot because Far Shot is going to screw with our damage a little bit. I don't know the exact math, but now Far Shot's about 30% more at range, and it falls off when you shoot closer, I believe. And Point Blank is the exact opposite, so they basically just cancel each other out. It's kind of a little bit odd, but still. Now, the only issue is that Rupture is basically an irrelevant node, because if you don't know, to bleed an enemy, you need to be doing physical damage. If you are 100% converted to fire damage, you are doing 0 physical. It may sound like it, but you're actually doing pure fire damage, which pure fire damage can't actually bleed. So for our final node, you pretty much don't really care about this. Whether Far Shot winds up, going neutral or like changing depending on range, I don't know the exact math behind it personally, but you could go Far Shot into Endless Munitions there if you want the extra projectile. Personally, I normally only get 3 in SSF anyways, because my 4th trial just never fucking shows up. So plan around 3. If you get 4, you get 4. Into skills, we have Burning Arrow set up with a lot of support gems here. This is going to be changed depending on what you're doing. If you're farming, you put in GMP. If you're bossing, you put in one of the other additions. It also depends if you roll anything spectacular on your chess piece, because you can get some extra fancy rolls. Now, we also don't know what the new what the hell are they called? Uh, influences are going to let us get. So if you can get some fancy stuff, then feel free to put that on your chest piece as well. We're using damage on full life. This is changeable if you'd like to. Elemental focus, changeable if you want to use some of the new ignite stuff they're adding. Slower projectiles, fire pen, LE damage with attacks. Now you can switch this up in whatever order you'd like to and whatever colorization you would like to use as well. Over here we have Herald of Ash for the wonderful explosions that this is going to give us. It's going to be pretty damn hilarious. Followed by Anger with Enlighten and a Summon Ice Golem. You can also use a Stone Golem if you want some flat life, if you'd prefer that route. But Ice Golem works just fine as well. Then we have Blood Rage, increased duration, cast when damage taken, and a low-level Immortal Call. Here you could probably use Steel Skin at a higher level, or Molten Shell if you wanted to as well. For Ranger, I found Steel Skin to actually be quite okay. For melee characters, I find Immortal Call and Molten Shell to be the better options. Then we have Vol Haste, which you're only going to be popping the Vol variant of when you get the bosses normally, or strong boxes or anything like that. And it has increased duration. And then Blink Arrow for the movement speed. LA weakness in the gloves. Obviously, this is a Trade League character, so it's rigged up to have Curse on hit. Not exactly optimal for most people, but you can feel free to blasphemy it as well if you'd like to take that route. And then we have a Tornado Shot, chance to bleed, ranged attack totem. This is going to be how we do trigger the Rupture bonus, even though it's not really that great. Yes, you get a bunch of crit stuff, but it's for the boss, and that's pretty much it. So, considering that is for just the Tornado Shot, and the Burning Arrow is going to be 100% converted on its own, the Tornado Shot totem, well, I guess it's going to be Ballista now, right? Will still do physical damage, so it will still bleed, but that is a bit of bossing cheese you can do in the Ranger department. Gear-wise, we have Chin Soul, Corrupted, perfectly, obviously. Signal Fire for as much damage as possible. If you can get something different, you can use it now. That option is open. From Nora's Resolve for fire damage, you can get a Burning Arrow enchant as well, obviously. Comb's Heart, because fucking memes. You can put whatever you want in here, really. A chest piece just with life and evasion rating or armor or whatever you want to do in that regard. Then we have Gloves with Elemental Weakness on hit. This is the perfect corruption. Knockback direction is reversed is kind of funny. As well as, this isn't using Vol Burning Arrow, but I highly recommend you use Vol Burning Arrow because it's the most fun I've had with a Ranger skill in a long time. You add multiple projectiles to it, and the crispness of the explosion that goes off when you fire off your Vol Burning Arrow, it's just great. It's actually really fantastic. So I'd recommend running that personally. You can have a pretty good laugh there. You can use whatever gloves you want, really. If you can manage to curse on hit, you're in business. If not, use whatever. Shoes, kind of filler, really. Movement speed is what matters. Life is quite nice as well. They got some power charge stuff there. And then we have a Zov's Heart, because Ash increases damage for fire builds. You can use a Presence if you want, because we are going to be in close range, obviously, with Point Blank. You barrel stuff them with Vol Burning Arrow, and they die. And then we have double opals with fire and fire to attacks. You can put fizz to attacks there as well. LA damage with attack skills, and resists/life. Belt with life res, LA with attacks. And then we have a God Roll Jewel, which you're probably not going to be able to achieve. Dying Sun for AoE and projectiles. Vessel of Vinctar for extra damage if you want to take that route. Silver Flask, Diamond Flask, and Sulfur Flask. You can trade out any of those for life flasks if you want to take that route. And any combination on the jewels of fire damage, attack speed with bows, max life, or any sort of filler stats that you may need for the character. Alright, moving swiftly on, we're going to cover my Caustic Arrow Pathfinder. Now, as you'll see, the damage goes down just a little bit, because this isn't a top-end bossing character. Don't get me wrong, it did top-end bossing as well. I played this myself in solo self-found up to, I believe it was tier 14 or so. I didn't take it to endgame bosses, but I did use it for a lot of speed farming. That's where this excels quite nicely. This will replace your tornado shot itch that some of you have for whatever reason. I'd probably go and get that checked personally, but who knows. Although tornado shot, after I read through what their planned nerfs are, it's nothing really that scary, if I'm entirely honest. The planned nerfs for tornado shot changes a little bit of the projectile range. It's almost like they don't know what it's really used for, but I don't know, man. So, in regards to the skill tree, I've actually left quite a bit open on this path of building setup that I have here, so you can go just about whatever route you want to here. We're clocking in about 100k dot DPS on this path of building. Now let me check one of my other ones here. Yeah, this was one of the setups of the characters that I was playing when I was playing it myself. I believe it is that one. Let me just double check through all of these really quickly so I don't pick the wrong fucking one. I have actually done that before, and it's a massive pain in the ass. So yeah, alright. We are going to start off with the skill tree, of course. Start off with life, come down and get quick step, because we're going for as much movement speed and speed in general as possible. I use this for optimal speed farming to gear up other characters. So you can use this to farm for, say, if you wanted like a melee character to fully rig up. You rush this to endgame, you map farm, you do your speed farming, and you acquire as much currency as possible, and you build a very big weapon. You know, how to make a melee viable. Or you farm per face breakers or a specific unique or something if you're looking for that sort of route. Grab the life down here, pop over here for bow damage and damage over time with bow skills. That's going to be the main thing we're going to be looking for here. Avatar of the Hunt gives the same thing, and we get movement speed from Art of the Gladiator. Coming through, Aspect of the Eagle is damage over time with bow skills. This whole cluster is as well, so we naturally grab that. Jewel, life, come up, cut across, life, chaos damage with attack skills, which works for Caustic Arrow. Then we grab chaos damage right here and chaos multiplier, and we come up to get Blood Drinker. Now at this point we can go for more life, we can go for more damage, whatever sort of route you would like to take. Essentially, you can type in Chaos Multiplier or damage over time with bow skills and go pretty much whatever route you want. You want extra life, you can get life there. You can go up to Constitution Wheel if you want to take that route. And gear-wise, we're pretty blank. The Dendro bait here actually doesn't work for this character, funnily enough, if I remember right. But all you really need is a very well-rolled bow, and I say well rolled, but you don't really need something that great. Funnily enough, you don't need any like high-end physical modifiers on your bow at all. I wonder if I can go back and check out my other path of building over here to see what I rolled on my bow. That is what I ended up using on my end character, which is 67% increased chaos damage. You can also craft a I believe it's 40% chaos multiplier as a craft as well. So if you really want to top out the build, you can go for multi-modding and multi-mod yourself a chaos damage and chaos multiplier bow. I believe you can also get the increased chaos damage as a incursion drop. If I remember correctly, I think I got something along those lines at one point. But getting a thicket bow with good attack speed with chaos damage as a drop in the first place and say solo self-found, it's kind of hard to achieve. But if you can somehow manage it, I mean, more power to you, right? So let me pop back into that, and we can go through our simple skills. We have Caustic Arrow, Vicious Projectiles, Swift Affliction, Void Manipulation, Conk Effect, and Mirage Archer. Now, Mirage Archer is getting nerfed a little bit, but what can you do? It's still going to be good for what it ends up doing, which allows you to get more projectiles and more just AoE damage, really. It's still going to be good. The range is going to be a bit lower, and the attack speed probably a little bit lower, but it's still going to do its job just fine. Everything in here is generally just the best modifiers for damage. You can switch out from Mirage Archer if you do want more damage as well. Then we run Blood Rage and Rallying Cries, was a little trick I used back in Legion to get more damage, and you can use it for, Abysses, Legion, Breaches, that sort of stuff. You can get a nice bit of percent increased damage, which does affect our damage over time to give you bonuses there. Herald of Agony, we take pretty much whatever you want here, really. You can go for flat damage, you can go for projectiles, you can go down many a route with Herald of Agony. You don't really need to use it either. I wanted to make a character that used Herald of Agony combined with actually doing damage. It turned out it wasn't really that great, and I'm going to do it on my next character I'm going to show, the one I'm going to be playing next league. In regards to anything else you could put in, defensive layering, a golem, probably stone golem more than likely. Guard skills, steel skin I said was very good, and that's pretty much all you really need. In regards to auras, you could run Malevolence. Malevolence is a fantastic one as well, which gives you damage over time. I would say to run the Despair aura, but thanks to our itemization of Witchfire Brew, you get a constant Despair Curse aura. And if you can manage to drop a Witchfire Brew in Solo Self-Found, instantly make yourself a Caustic Arrow character, because it's wild. Trust me, it was one of the fastest characters that I've made in a long time. As I said, once you hit a cutoff in regards to a farming character, say you only want to farm a specific tier, or you only want to farm, like, say, a specific card. Well, you get enough power to clear that map and clear the boss of that map, and then you can go into life, speed, movement speed, attack speed, that sort of stuff. It's all about build circumstance sort of thing, and that's something a lot of people don't really realize. They want to push everything's numbers as high as possible, and if it's not doing 4 million plus, it's complete trash. Well, yes and no. It all depends on circumstance. To which, this is spectacular for those of you looking to go fast. With the Tornado Shot changes, I'd recommend giving it a look in. And, yeah, it's pretty open for the gear scenario. Put in pretty much whatever you want. All you really need to look out for is a Thicket Bow with very good attack speed, and you can craft on Chaos Damage or Chaos Multiplier, and go from there. Drop a Witchfire Brew, you're in the money. If not, feel free to use Malevolence, and then throw out the Herald of Agony, and use a Blasphemed Despair. That'll work just as well, and you will get pretty good damage, since I was in the fray quite often while playing that character. And to round us off, we're going to be going for my personal league starter, which is going to be a Scourge Arrow Ranger. This is what I'm going to be starting with. It's as SSF friendly as I could make it. Obviously, if you can manage some drops, you can leverage it in a lot of different ways. But let's start us off with the skill tree, shall we? Come down through life and grab damage over time with bows. As I said, with the Caustic Arrow character, we're going to be doing that quite often. Come up here for life and a 1-point jewel, and then from there we go up and path our way through. So we get damage over time at Aspect of the Eagle, life here, charisma for better aura management, damage over time with chaos, and the life here, popping over for more damage over time, and poisons you inflict deal damage faster. Then we get more poison multiplier here, and acro and phase acro for a bit of survivability. Moving downwards, we only get the bottom half of this, because funnily enough, the top half doesn't give half as much like results DPS wise. You can still take it, but its damage is kind of negligible, sadly. Then from there we get the 2-point jewel, grab more life, grab channeling skill bonuses. Oh, excuse me. It's sickness time around here. It's cold as shit outside too, so it's kind of catching up with me, you know. With Scourge Arrow, we're of course a ranged channeling skill, which is going to mean that channeling stuff has massive bonuses. So much so I even have infused channeling in the skill setup for this character. So we grab that for a ton of damage. Pop down for Swift Venoms, so your poisons you inflict deal damage faster. Come over here and come up to get Toxic Strikes for more chaos damage and poison multiplier. Grab the life on the way as well. Pop over to Dirty Techniques for poisons you inflict deal damage 5% faster. Grab the life and grab the jewel. That is pretty much the skill tree. You come up top here for a bit more life, a little bit more life there, some damage over time here, and a bit of life and damage up there. In the Ascendancy, we're looking at a 3-pointer. Feel free to go to 4 if you manage to get that. And this is where it starts to get kind of insane, because the damage that you see here is actually wrong. It should be a lot higher, but Path of Exile, or Path of Building rather, is never going to be able to calculate it correctly, and I'll show you why in just a moment. So first, points, we put in Nature's Reprisal, which is increased chaos damage. Chaos skills have increased area of effect range, and the big money right here. When you kill a poisoned enemy during any flask effect, nearby enemies are poisoned. This is going to radiate out. Imagine you're doing like a Blood Aqueducts run. You fire one Scourge arrow, and the poisons just radiate all the way through, just kind of popping, and that's what I'm kind of imagining. Obviously, I haven't played it yet, so we'll see how that goes, whether that's true or not, but one can hope. Either way, that is going to be fantastic for AoE clear, and just all-around good in general, because we are, of course, playing a poison character. And then moving swiftly on to Master Toxicist, this is where things start to get rather funny. So this gives us 10% of physical as extra chaos, which is nice. 10% of physical converted to chaos, sure. 10% more chaos damage with attack skills, yeah, sure. You lose virulence 50% slower. This is the character that I am actually going to be using Herald of Agony with, because he synergizes with poisons, as opposed to chaos multiplier with Caustic Arrow. Poisons you inflict during any flask effect have a 40% chance to deal 100% more damage. And that's the big one right there. So our poisons, while we're having any flask up, and you'll keep a Quicksilver or Onslaught flask up 24/7, you'll have a 40% chance to deal 100% more damage. Combine this with a bow you can make with a singular delve fossil that gives you 60% chance for poisons inflicted with this weapon to deal 100% more damage. Now the question of all questions that is incalculable, and we'll never really know, I guess, is does that count as 100% chance to deal 100% more damage, or does it count as 40 and 60 to deal 100% respectively? Because if so, if I land a 40% and a 60%, I get 200% more damage on one poison. Well, yeah, that is fucking insane. If it's a 100% chance to deal 100% more, that's pretty good too, because that's consistent. But if it's 2 RNG procs to get 200% more when it lines up, shit's gonna melt. Shit is gonna melt pretty damn hard, so. And then we have chaos damage over time multiplier, since the roll is crafted via a corroded fossil. It's very easy to get attack speed plus that modifier, plus the ability to craft chaos damage over time multiplier. So you can make a stupid powerful bow in a few corroded fossils, provided you get lucky. I'd say I could probably make something along these lines in about 5, if I have a really good day, that is. So this is very achievable for like 2nd or 3rd day, and it'll carry you through the whole character. You just have to optimize around the delve farming, make sure you keep up with your darkness resistance and all that sort of stuff, and play it as safe as possible, because it's not the tankiest character on the planet, so you do have to kind of work around that. Gear-wise, I left it entirely open. You can put on whatever you want. If you land a Witchfire Brew, you land a Witchfire Brew. Use it. Pretty simple. Aziri's Promise, free damage. I can get this very easily. This is achievable to any SSF character, so use it, right? Might as well. If you land one of these, well, it's a shit ton of damage. I'm probably not going to, but you never know. Einhar could be kind to me. And yeah, jewels are any combination of poison damage, damage over time, max life, and attack speed. Attack speed with bows as well. Anything in that sort of genre will work just fine for you. Itemization wise, feel free to use pretty much whatever you want. Dendrobate could be pretty interesting. I don't know if it's actually a damage increase for this sort of stuff, but Drill Neck, if you want to use that for a quiver. Quiver options are pretty open, and Dendrobate is an increase of damage, so feel free to use that if you drop one. I've actually dropped this pretty often, so who knows, maybe I actually land one, and we have a decent character. I don't know. We'll see. I'll keep you updated and posted on that one. Into these skills, we have Scourge Arrow, Added Chaos, Mirage Archer, Unbound Ailments, Deadly Ailments, and Infused Channeling. The thing about Scourge Arrow is it's actually getting changed for the better. It is getting buffed. With Scourge Arrow, it's losing, base damage? Something like that. And gaining Added Chaos per level, like per gem level, I'm pretty sure. Which, in regards to my build, is just making it better. It's just adding more of what I'm already multiplying, which is fantastic for me. So, sure, I'm not going to argue with the changes there. I actually expected it to get nerfed into the ground because Scourge Arrow is used as a perma-freeze build for Delve, and people are clearing Delve 10,000 with it. It's more so the fact that their character is invulnerable than Scourge Arrow being godly, but still. Mirage Archer nerfs are whatever. I don't really care. I'm still going to use it because it allows you to cast Scourge Arrow while on the move. So that's what really makes a difference there. Herald of Agony is going to be a nice bit of poison multiplier, and we're using it to cap our poison on hit chance, so don't throw this away. Obviously, we're poisoning all the time, so we're maintaining 40 stacks. Give it damage on full life, added fire, vicious projectiles, minion damage. These are the best modifiers you can manage. Feel free to use anything else if you want projectiles, or pierce, or cull. Who fucking knows? And then we have a Blasphemy Despair. You can cut this if you land the Witchfire Brew, and put in Malevolence instead in place of this. That may actually work like safer if you are trying to stay farther back, so you don't have to go into melee range to put on the Despair here. So you can cut this. You can anoint one of the other nodes. What the fuck is it? Where is it? Down here for Aura Reduced Reserve, and slot in Malevolence, or take out a Herald of Agony point and put in Malevolence there, so then you don't have to get up close and get smacked and die. So, yeah. Blood Rage, Frenzy Charges, Stone Golem, Survivability, Plague Bearer, it uses poison, sounded cool. Fucking why not? And that is going to be all she wrote for my Ranger League starters. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found a character you might be interested in playing. And if not, well, I apologize for the past half hour. Hopefully listening to a white kid talk wasn't that horrible. But that's going to be all for me, and as always, take care, gentlemen.